Black Mountain Station, we're located about 140 k's northeast of Bairnsdale. Its elevation ranges from about 900 to 1,000 metres. At the moment we're running about 750 cows and calves. That's probably at its optimum. Depending on seasons, it's probably as many as we really want to run to be sustainable. When we first come to the property, the fences were, well, let's say run down. There was hot wires on a lot of them, but because of the nature of the fences, a 9-wire suspension fence, we'd have a lot of problems chasing shorts all the time. Paddock sizes were 300 and 400 acres. We were running 250, 300 cows and calves in a paddock just trying to utilise the grass that was there. And it wasn't very successful, so we really wanted to cut down the paddock sizes so we could make better use of the pasture. When the fire came through, we obviously lost a lot of fences, and the ones that didn't fall down were just about had it anyway. Out of bad comes good. It enabled us to start from scratch with the fences, really sit down and look at where things were and why they were there and how we can change things. Fourth meeting, Mark Bennett, our local representative from Gallagher, ran into our boss, Hugh Adams. Yeah, they started talking about how we could implement new ideas and where we could put our fences, how laneways would help us, how laneways would help get power out to the furthest points of the property. That's probably been one of the biggest things, putting in a decent laneway that carries the power out to the furthest reaches of the property. Good earth return, so when they get hit they really know they've actually touched the fence, and that educates cattle really quickly. The laneways have made mustering a lot easier. It's been brilliant for our time efficiency. We've been able to cut down on our labour because of it. We used to spend a lot of time on horseback, and with a fair few dogs mustering cows out of those paddocks. It used to take us a lot of time to get them down to the yards, pushing them through other mobs, through various paddocks and that. Now we can just go to the paddock, open the gate, 95% of the cows will come straight out in the laneway by themselves anyway, hop in behind them with a couple of dogs and a four-wheeler, and we just follow them to the laneway. I can get cows from any paddock on the place to the cattle yards within 1 hour now, which is a huge time saving.
The key point in designing the fencing system here at Black Mountain Station was to use a 3-wire electric fence system to take the power from the energiser to the back end of the farm. This is a critical feature. We must be able to get that power along there. In the system here that we've designed, it's got a 30-metre laneway that goes right from the stockyards all the way to about 70% of the distance of the farm. This allows us good access along the fencing system so that we can check any subdivisional fences that are taking off from there. The 30-metre laneway was also a key feature. It's wide enough to graze the paddock on its own. It allows good stock flow to and from the yards. With 30 metres wide, you don't have that opportunity for cattle to double back behind you as you're pushing them into the yards.
Well, our paddock sizes certainly have been reduced. We've changed them back sort of 20 to 30 hectares versus 100 to 150 hectares. The biggest thing we're seeing now is a stronger pasture base. Even though it's turning dry, we're finding there's more ryegrass in the pasture. It's hanging on for longer, and we can just regulate how the stock eat the pasture, making use of the whole paddock rather than having clumps of grass at one end and overgraze at the other end of the property. Yeah, roughly we've put on about 45 k's of fencing, somewhere around the 20 k's of 5-wire fence, which is the laneways, all our boundaries with the fence, with the roadsides, a 5-wire fence. We've put on 5 k's of dog fence, which is a 7-wire fence with four hot wires in it. Steel posts are still 5 metres apart on those. On Black Mountain Station itself, we've got 4 energisers, each allotted its own section of the property. It's really good having 4 separate energisers. You might have a fault on one of them, the rest of them are still maintaining the rest of the property. With the smart power energisers we've got 2 of those now, and I don't think you can find a better energiser. With the alarm systems, with the way it pushes more power through the fence if there is a small fault on it, can't beat them on it, I don't feel. Electric fencing itself is very quick to put up, cost effective. We're putting up 3-wire fences, which is 2 hot wires and earth return in the middle, and we're putting them up for about $2 a metre. Having power all over the property is wonderful. Say there's a gully we want to try and keep cattle out of, or there's a paddock we want to try and control intake of young cattle, we can set up one hot wire anywhere we want. So now that the cattle are educated to electric fencing, one wire is all you really need. Even calves as young as 2 or 3 months soon learn not to go near a wire. A lot of this country was cleared very heavily earlier on. We're trying to get more trees on the place to provide more shelter for the livestock and also the pastures. Because of such heavy clearing, there's also a few erosion problems coming into the property. So with the use of electric fencing, we're able to put up very cost-effective fencing to keep cattle out of those areas, even if it's just one wire, to keep them off the tree guards or off the gullies that are eroding. And also river flats. We've got a river that flows for 2 or 3 k's through this property, and if there's an issue on that river, we can just put up one single hot wire and that'll keep the cattle off it. I realise we were fortunate in the fact that we were able to start from scratch, and that's made a huge difference. We've started from the shed and worked our way out, and not having any problems trying to put a single wire on an older fence, trying to get more power further out to the property. We're carrying power along good new fences, so our maintenance is practically zero. Whenever I'm mustering cattle, I just take the little fence tester with me, put it on the fence. If there's a fault, I can soon find that within 10 minutes. It's really cut down on the maintenance. I used to spend hours trying to find faults on these old fences with the 9-wire suspension fence and not offset. It used to take a lot of time, and I'd be forever going back to the same areas all the time, whereas now, if I know there's a problem, I rectify that properly and then I can forget about it and move on to other things.